why are you playing with a mini basketball?
Because it's to promote people to not gamble.
Good. Okay.
Considering the recent developments that have been happening around the world with sports gambling, it's not good.
Do you know I just found out about that when you told me right now? Not right now, like before we started recording. Really? I didn't know about it, yeah.
Oh, it's very bad.
Yeah.
And especially being a fan. Were you ever a basketball fan?
No. I only ever watched basketball like with the guys during playoffs and stuff like that.
Okay, you know what it's like because you love tennis. Mm-hmm. Imagine watching Roger Federer go against whoever, a big time tennis player, and you knowing tennis matches could be rigged. What is that going to do to you, bro?
Yep.
Crazy, right?
Yep, that would really bother me.
That's what's happening in the NBA right now.
That's terrifying.
Major gambling scandal, people throwing away games for I don't know what, chump change. And mind you, these guys are getting paid millions of dollars, but they still resort to that. And now there's a back and forth between, are they really addicted to gambling and that's why they did it? Or were they just doing it just to make more money? And a lot of people are saying that the addiction aspect is an easy way out. Like when someone commits a heinous crime and they play the crazy card.
Yep. Wow. Yeah, because I'm thinking about it. If I was watching, like, I don't know, the U.S. Open Finals or whatever.
Yeah.
Carlos.
And Carlos just walks to the ball.
Yeah. And it's like, what are you doing, dude?
Or does something like unbegetting of who he is as a player. Mm-hmm. So it's a trust system that gets...
The trust has been broken in this relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So, well, speaking of which, this is the worst transition of my life, which is fine, but I don't know. There's a connection
somewhere.
Now that you said that, let me completely change the topic. Get to
just
our topic
say you hate me, bro. Just say you hate me.
No, I wanted to ask you what you think, especially as a canonist, on the nature of authority in the church. I've been thinking about this a lot. Okay, the nature of authority in the church. Okay.
Wow, that's a...
Yeah, not just like clergymen either, by the way, but like the church's theology about the nature of authority. So like families or, employers or, anything like this. Yeah. So, in scripture, we have a few instances of the disciples competing for power or competing for greatness or, something like that. And Jesus always kind of gives the same type of answer, which is that the first will be last and the last will be first. Whoever would be great among you must be your servant. Whoever would be first among you must be your slave. That's how he defines it.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about that topic a lot. I've been talking about it with the monks too, during formation classes. I'm trying to teach them these kinds of things. And yeah, very interesting topic that in Christianity, first does mean last. And that authority means service. So it's like... almost like the person in authority is the one that's going to suffer the most if he's doing it right.
The first thing I thought of, why am I so holding this? The first thing I
you
thought
made your
of,
point.
Yeah. Don't gamble. The first thing I thought of was right before the promulgation of the 1990 Eastern Code, something crazy happened. I don't know if you know this, but when they're drafting the code, they're, getting ready to finalize it, there's a fairly big section in the code that shows patriarchal power, for example, and it talks about how power within the historical territory of that patriarch and power and governance outside of it in the diaspora is different.
So just let's clarify our terms for the audience. So in the territory is in the area,
historical area of
the
Iraq, Syria, Armenia,
and the diaspora is the West, basically.
Outside, anywhere outside of that territory. So a lot of patriarchs didn't like it, and they went to the Pope and they went to the committee that was promulgating the code and said, look, you cannot limit us in our authority. This is still the patriarchal church, sui juris, of its own kind. And how is this a patriarchal church if we don't have governance and authority universally, without any limits? And the church, in her wisdom, explained that, no, this is not limiting you, but it's something that makes the most sense, and it's something that's beneficial for the care of souls that are entrusted to you. Mm-hmm. Because whether you like it or not, mass migration it was happening back then, and it's, they were already predetermining that it's going to continue to happen. And when you have the faithful living in a society that is different from yours, and the mentality, and that's only a few things that's different, but they were preparing themselves, not to limit them, but for the sake of souls. So your authority is not being checked. You're still the patriarch of that particular church, but the code limits with, what can and cannot be applied. And they, stuck to whatever they had in the law and left it where what it is today. And when you see what it is today, it's mostly liturgical law that gets applied universally. Everything else becomes local.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, the thing that I'm thinking about the most is that the church's relationship with the local governmental laws.
Yeah.
That's really important, and that changes country to country.
100%.
So that makes a lot of sense, that governmental power is rooted in a sense more in the region because of the surrounding customs.
100%. Perfect example is when Monsignor Philip came here, and we're discussing a bunch of canonical things about annulments and whatever. A lot of the things I was telling him, it was like foreign to him, because he's like, oh, in Europe we do it in this way, and this, and it's not only Europe as a whole. When you go to Sweden, when you go to Germany, it's different than the way the practice is here. But again, it makes sense because you gotta work with what you have.
So we've been going over this book, the monks and I, for formation, and it's a book about monastic life and some of the positive things, some of the potential abuses, things like that, right? So one of them on the nature of obedience. So the three monastic, the three evangelical counsels are obedience, poverty, and chastity, obviously, right? On obedience is one of these things that's really sensitive, because authority is given by God to somebody, entrusted to somebody, and it's meant for service. Like, in the case of a diocese, a bishop has a lot of authority, and it's meant to serve his priests, his faithful, the people of his diocese, etc., right? Or, I'm the abbot of the monastery, so I have the authority over the monks in order to serve them, to edify them, to build them up in Christ, feed them spiritually, and so on and so forth, right? There have been a lot of cases in the past, and probably contemporary cases, where authority is misused, and they're calling that, I think this is a newer term probably, they're calling it spiritual abuse. Where spiritual abuse means that somebody in authority is using their religious authority for their own personal benefit and not at the service of people, at the people that they're serving.
That's why authority is not control, it's care. Yeah. And you see that throughout the code, from beginning to end. This is all about care and the good you can do with the people entrusted to your care. When you take it as control, I mean, look at, for example, a husband has authority in his household. But when you do it to control your wife, control your kids, and completely be dismissive of the aspect of care, then you're tiptoeing around tyranny. And if it's not checked, then we're going to have a problem. Because, for example, the doctrines that are defined by the church, the laws that are in the code, those are not there randomly because, they're predicting a few things. No, the church experienced certain, like you said, spiritual abuse. The church experienced things that had to be checked, which is why they're mentioned in the code. Same thing with doctrine. It wasn't until people started to get, skeptic about a lot of, teachings of the church where the church had to say, okay, let's have a definitive statement on this. And that's kind of scary, especially for us as priests. Being a priest in, the Church of the East is people, the faithful love priests, they show a lot of love to their priests, at least in my experience,
I mean, what are you trying to say?
There's ups and downs, obviously, but honestly, our people are
They're very good to us. Yeah.
they're very good to us. And that could be an opportunity for a priest to say, okay, let me take this as control. They're already listening to me.
Mm-hmm. I gave the image to the monks actually this morning.
That's scary, man.
Yeah. I said, authority in the church or spiritual authority, like in the family or whatever, authority is like fire in your hands. Okay. You can use it to inflame the love of the Holy Spirit in the hearts of the people that you're serving, or if you misuse it, it'll burn you.
Use that imagery?
Yeah.
I hate it. I'm joking. Yeah, that makes sense. I like that.
It's good.
Yeah, it's true.
Because I'm thinking of examples of, like, think of Padre Pio. He was a Franciscan, obviously obedient to his superiors and the local bishop and things like that, and he was a holy man and had
suspended from his faculties.
Suspended from his faculties because they were accusing him of faking it for popularity or whatever. And they suspended him of his faculties for, what was it, 2 years or something like this?
No, more, I think.
Was it more?
Yeah.
But a very long, extended period of time. And he was obedient because he has to be obedient. Yeah. But dang, what happens to those guys? That's really scary in my mind.
I've gone this question before. Is it right to be obedient to a tyrant? Is it right to be obedient to someone who is obviously telling me to be obedient for all the wrong reasons? And this conversation came up when I was explaining, I think it was a Bible study or something. And we're talking about wicked popes that existed during the history of the church. And I explained in the law now, it states that the Holy Pontiff is judged by no one.
Mm-hmm.
And they just got completely shocked. They're like, what do you mean? I said, it's very clear in the code. He is judged by no one. No one on earth could judge him. They're like, okay, what about obedience when it comes to obeying an evil person or a tyrant or whatever? It's a good question. It's a valid question, to ask. But my response to that is, you do things according to your conscience. You act according to what your conscience is telling you, because nothing could be above your conscience.
So St. John Henry Newman has this famous toast. He had this big conversion and all this. And he has this really famous toast where he toasts first to conscience and second to the Pope.
Really?
Yeah. It's a very famous one, yep. Because that's in line with his theology. And, but you know who addresses this, that question that you asked?
Benedict.
Benedict does, but John Milton in Paradise Lost. The context of that poem, Paradise Lost, it's about the fall of Adam and Eve and the fall of the devil, okay? And it was in, I think, the 17th century. The context is the English Revolution against the monarch, and they deposed him, and I think they killed him too. The reason why that was such a controversial thing is because the English monarch, which obviously they reinstituted the monarchy, right? The English monarch is the head of the Church of England.
Yeah.
And he is endowed with what's called the divine right of kings. He's appointed by God to be the king. And,
that's crazy.
To be the king and to be the head of the church. So he's like God's vessel on earth. Kind of, I mean, not exactly. There are nuances difference, but kind of like what for us is the Pope.
Yeah.
But he's not a priest.
Did you hear that Pope Leo and King Charles just had you don't hear any news, do you?
I don't do news, bro.
They just did a prayer of unity in the Sistine Chapel for the first time since, I think, the Reformation.
Huh. That's interesting.
And they got him this very unique chair. I'm sure they're going to keep it in the Sistine Chapel, but they had a prayer of unity and broke the news everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. So John Milton is writing Paradise Lost in this context. He's sympathetic to the revolutionaries, but everybody's conscience is really people that are, that believe in the Church of England and that are Englishmen, that believe in the monarchy and this kind of thing. Their consciences are driving them crazy because the king at the time was an absolute tyrant and kind of a crazy guy. And so the revolutionaries went in to take him out, and they were saying, well, they're asking the question, is it okay to take this guy out because he's got the divine right of kings? He's appointed to us by God, but he's nuts and he's abusive and he's destroying our lives and he's destroying our country and he's doing all these things. And he's not allowing us our freedom. He's a tyrant. So he was sympathetic to the revolutionaries, even though it was bothering his conscience. So he wrote that poem, Paradise Lost, as a kind of analogy, a metaphor of it, because he has the devil. This is where we get the fall of the devil and all this stuff from heaven and into hell. Lucifer is this rebel, but he justifies his rebellion by citing freedom, and he says, "I would rather rule in hell than serve in heaven." Although he paints the devil in this kind of sympathetic light, ultimately, the desire for freedom above all things is going to lead into this kind of self-enclosed hellish space. I think you create a kingdom of yourself, and that kingdom is below.
Maybe that's one of the reasons why one of the temptations of Jesus was, "I will give you all this, this kingdom.
Yeah.
If you bow down to me."
Yep, exactly. That's exactly right. Yep. Should you obey a tyrant? That's an interesting question. Do you obey a tyrant? And if the tyrant has legit divine authority, then as long as it's not trying to force you to do something immoral or
exactly. My mentality is more, this too shall pass.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I get people taking a stance with, certain things, but if it's not, like you said, causing you to commit a moral evil or sin, I don't know.
What I was telling the monks this morning in our formation class, the guy in authority, whether it's the father of a house or if it's, a pastor of a parish, a bishop of a diocese, a pope of the whole universal church, whatever it is, the guy that's in charge, he has to be suffering the most. He has to carry the biggest burden.
Yeah.
He has to have the biggest cross. He has to struggle the most because he's doing it on behalf of everybody under him, right? If he's not, then he's doing something wrong. If everybody else is suffering and he's living his best life or whatever, something is off. And that's why, I was telling them earlier today, I said, I don't have that much authority. I mean, I'm an abbot of a little monastery, so it's like not that big of a deal. But any little bit of it is very scary to have because, you're responsible for a lot.
You know what you're capable of.
And you know what you're capable of. And power is, can be a drug if you misuse it for your own benefit, And people in religious authority have a lot of that, and it becomes a very scary thing because if you misuse it for your own personal benefit, well, then who are you employing for your authority? God. You're using God to control people.
Yeah.
That's a very, very bad thing. That's what a lot of, priests will do it and things like that, but husbands do it over their wives. Parents do it over their kids. I hear stories about people that they don't go to church, they don't do anything like that, but then they'll quote the one thing in the Bible. The fourth commandment says, obey your father and your mother, and they don't care for the church, they don't care for anything, but they use that one thing that God said.
Or men quote that one thing that St. Paul says, wives be subject to your husbands.
Yeah, they don't read the rest of it.
As to the Lord. I mean, keep going, brother.
Yeah, where it says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. Oh, like dying for her,
I mean, shifting gears, because you just got me thinking about, authority within marriage. If a husband goes in, because I see this most with husbands, if he goes in to, being a husband of a family or a father of a family, with guns blazing of authority, that will crumble so fast.
Oh, yeah.
And I see it, and I'm sure you see it all the time too. When we're doing annulments, there's a very specific law that we state on, the grounds for annulment, which is contra bonum conjugum, is basically, treating your wife as a slave, among many things that law is referring to. But, that person is basically enslaved, has no freedom, has, no say in anything. And that invalidates a marriage. Look how huge that is. You know, you went before God, got married to this woman, you know, brought kids into this world, and you just throw it all away because all you want is, you know, tyranny within your household because it makes you feel better. It validates your feelings. Guess what? You just not only crushed yourself, you crushed other souls that you're going to have to stand before God answering. How dare you? You know, how dare you abuse this beautiful sacrament for your own control? And what is that control going to do for you?
Yeah, well, what they want of it is that why is a tyrant a tyrant? Because they want to shape their surroundings as according to their own desires and according to their own vision.
They're pawns.
Yeah, everybody else is a pawn. Well, that you have to see, to control somebody, another person, you have to make them something less than human. You have to dethrone them from the image of God.
Yeah.
And objectify them and turn them into a thing that serves at your pleasure.
Machiavellian, the prince,
totally
he says
Machiavellian.
Exactly that.
Yep.
He says exactly that. You make sure they're very limited in that capacity. They're very limited in intellectual capacity. Don't get them to think too much. Don't get them to realize these things, and you're going to begin having more and more control.
Yeah. Which is why, like, you know, when you find people jealous of their power, that's a really poor sign, I think. Like, I'm thinking of like
someone jealous of someone else's power.
Like think of a pastor of a parish, right? A pastor of a parish is a big, huge parish that he's got 3 vicars with him, 3 priest assistants with him. Okay. What if one of them is getting a little popular? If he's trying to shut him down, what is he doing? He's trying to impose him, keep himself as the man in charge, as the guy that's the center of attention, everything like that. And so he's going to knock this guy down so that he can keep his spot, you know, so to speak.
That's one of the reasons why it's so important to be fatherly.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if you do have authority, sometimes you do have to have tough conversations. And when you have already assumed the fatherly role, it won't come off as tyranny or authority. It's going to come off as, you know, brother strengthening brother. You know, Peter and Paul, same thing.
In a marriage, you see this happen too, I think, where husband and wife are competing for not just who has more authority, but who has more influence, or who's getting the most attention from the kids, or who's going to have the last word, you know, like that kind of thing, that competition for who's going to run this thing.
I think it's deeper than that. And you know that because now it's the competition, not only with that, but with who has control over the household, who calls the shots.
Yeah.
And it's insane actually, because before you had, it was not even up for debate. The husband had his role, the wife had her role, and the kids knew what the roles were. Nothing was confused. But then things started to develop where all of a sudden you have the husband doing motherly things, which in a sense, sure, you could do that. You could help out. It's not like you're hands off and you must do this and I must do this. But to an extent, once you surpass that extent, or let's say the wife is taking advantage of the husband where, oh, you just clean the dishes. Let me test it out some more. Honey, could you do this? Oh, by the way, while you're doing that, could you do this? And he could be innocent and just keep saying yes, but what's happening is you're setting a precedent that is very unhealthy. Because once you cannot distinguish between the roles of a husband and a wife, there's no going back. And it can be very toxic for a household.
I think it becomes very toxic. I think it becomes very toxic when the roles are mixed, when they're confused, when they're not delineated well, you know, when they're not well defined. Like, I think things become really toxic. I really do believe that nature has given us a pretty good way of doing things, and we should do that. Yeah.
Because people make the joke now, like, oh, we know who wears the pants in that relationship. But that's sad.
Yeah.
That's very sad.
You know. Well, yeah. I mean, a lot. We can like beat on feminism all day, you know. But first wave feminism was pretty good. I think. I think it was justified because well, that was the time when husbands, having authority would abuse it on a wide scale. And they would actually abuse their wives like badly, and the wives couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
It's like something has to be done about that,
Goes contra bonum coniugo.
Yeah.
Goes back to that.
Yeah, exactly. Something has to be done about that. And that's what's happened. But sometimes we also overreact. So a lot of that stuff.
There is this guy that he tells me, he's like, Father, I wear the pants in the relationship. She just tells me which ones to wear.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's great.
I like that.
Why would you die on that hill of authority? I have my speculations. Like, let's say a husband wants to be, it could go both ways, because it could be a husband who wants to be a complete tyrant and shut his wife down with anything she says, or it could be a wife wanting total control of the household. And my speculation as to why they want to do that is because everyone else is doing it. Mm-hmm. All it takes is a few conversations with a friend group saying, oh, I got my husband to do this. Or the husband saying, oh, I dare my wife to even open her mouth about this certain thing or even mention this. Do you know what I would do to her? It's like an authority, trip or whatever. And they feed off of that. I really think that's influence.
I went to confession once with my spiritual director, who's a Norbertine. And one of the things I'm allowed to speak of my own confessions, right? Of my own sins in confessional. So one of the things that I confessed was I got too upset with one of the monks. Okay, I got overly upset with one of the monks. And then his response to that was, I think the role of an abbot is that he's the primary role of an abbot is that he encourages. Which I never forgot that. That was years ago. I never forgot that because I'm like, that makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. That the role of the guy in charge, now whether it's in a house or if it's in a monastery, it's in a parish, diocese, the whole church, whatever it is, that the primary role is to encourage and then I would only add to it, to encourage and then to kind of shoulder the suffering on behalf of the people that are under you, Because that's exactly what Jesus does.
Yeah.
Jesus is the King of Kings. He's the guy that's in charge. He's the head of the church. He's the King of the world. Has everything that we say about him, right? He's God. So there's that. And has all the authority. And he uses it not for himself, but very much the opposite. In theology, we call it kenosis, right? Jesus is self-emptying love.
Himself.
He empties himself for those that he's serving. To the point of the cross. He doesn't exercise his authority against people, but he has authority over his own life and hands it over to us.
Yeah.
Right? In obedience to God the Father and in service for us, and then encourages us on our journey. So that Jesus uses his authority to build us up.
Yeah.
Not like a tyrant to use us and shrink us.
If there wasn't kenosis and this active self-emptying on Jesus's part, then we would see a different scenario with Judas, for example, because Jesus he knew what Judas was doing. Mm-hmm. He knew. Mm-hmm. But he gave him an ample amount of opportunities to come back. Even to the last minute, he was at the Last Supper, breaking bread with him, warning him, and he still went out and did it. But the idea is that he continued to encourage him to repent, to come back, to turn away.
Yeah, it's really amazing because we sin against him.
Yeah.
So then he comes down, and what does he use his authority to do but to forgive our sins?
Yeah.
He uses his authority to forgive our sins and build us back up.
What would any other person do with Judas?
Yeah, exactly.
He would be deposed in 5 seconds.
Exactly. And punished and everything else that comes with it, But no, Jesus from the cross says, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. That's so that when Jesus says the first will be last and the last first, he's giving content to that. He's living up to his own word. If the first among you must be your servant, the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many.
Yeah.
That's authority in the church. That's why it's like fire. It's not something that you should want.
Yeah.
It's not something that you should go after, because it's going to come with a lot of work, which is fine. Everybody works hard, but it's going to come with a lot of moral responsibility that you're going to be called on account for.
Yeah. Being in a situation where you must be obedient to an authority, something that makes it easier is when you see that authority figure loving what they do. Because you could tell the difference immediately, whether this person is loving what they do. And after that, it's like smooth sailing, because I trust that person. And with whatever they do, I'm going to always give them the benefit of the doubt, because because they love what they do, there's something I'm not understanding here that maybe I will later on. But if it's either someone just taking it easy, shooting from the hip kind of thing, not showing that yuqra, the
gravitas, weight
of that office, then I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to have a different, not saying I'm not going to be obedient to that person, but it's going to be harder. I'm going to have to,
or at least it's going to be mixed in with a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I think what's to be avoided is that how do you enjoy what you do? Well, you enjoy it when you do it out of love. When you do it out of service for other people, when you do it in obedience to God, and so on. When you make it personal about yourself, you're always going to be like stressed out, anxious. You want to make sure that you look good. You want to make sure that people are obedient to you in every single thing, and that no one tests your authority. Otherwise, whatever. That's a very stressful life, man.
Yeah.
Just like holding on to power is a very stressful life. Insisting on having power is a very stressful life. I don't know.
And to think that it could go away in a snap of a finger.
Yeah, and it's not ours anyways.
Snap of a finger. What authority are we going to have when we die? Please explain to me what authority, except being judged more harshly based on the responsibilities that we had. Please explain to me. It's easier said than done. I think we're all tempted, with that, but it's about it getting checked. And speaking of authority, like, you had the authority today for us to sit how we're sitting, and my neck is going to break off, but I'm going to continue to be obedient. Do you know how bad my neck hurts right now?
Why?
I want to look this way. I want to look right for a second, and I can't.
Look right. As you said, there's nothing wrong with it.
Okay, I can look right. I'm going to look like a crazy person. Okay. Just staring at a wall. Okay. Let me just stretch. Okay, but nevertheless,
we're all obedient to Andrew.
Yeah, we're all obedient to him. Exactly. I've been waiting to say that for the past 5 minutes, by the way.
Your neck's been killing you for 5 minutes?
Dying.
Oh my gosh.
But we're good now. We're good. Got a little stretch in.
You look to the right.
Yeah.
Good.
This is my better side anyway. Like this. That's your cue to say you don't have a good side.
Oh,
you know how people say,
I would never say that, Father Daniel. What are you pinning me out to be right now, man? Come on. Good. So what about employers? What advice do you have to employers?
The last thing you said, you do things out of love and things will work out accordingly. But when you you're an employer and you have employees. You don't have robots or dogs or animals. You have human beings. No matter if you're the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company or you own a gas station, the people that are your employees are human beings. And coming to that small realization, it's small, but it could go a very long way. You will know how to act accordingly. When you treat them like dogs and animals, forget about you not being a good Christian when you do that. It's not even being a good human being. There's something called moral law where you don't need religion to define it for you. It exists, and on top of that, you're a baptized Christian. Come on.
Yeah, and And this is making me think actually a lot about what if you're, because I mean, both of us are, and everybody is to some extent or another, I think, under authority somehow, right? So if you have authority, it's fine. You also are under the authority of another, probably, right? Husbands and their wives today, right? No, they're under the authority of God, who is,
Good clean up, bro. Nice.
Yes.
Clean it up. Bring out the broom. Kenosh.
It was 2025. Well, we're kind of starting to dance around this earlier, but how do you handle that? How do you handle that? Like, okay, you're getting disciplined right now for something,
Take it on the chin.
Nobody
man.
likes that, right?
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
Like you and I have had some tough conversations where it's like, hey, listen, you did A, B, and C. It wasn't cool.
Yep.
And you just gotta take it on the chin and move on, But the thing is, it's harder to take it on the chin if you lose respect for that person. At least for me, I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
Let's say I had no respect for you and I just saw you as someone that, you have this office and you're a clouchy kind of thing, black belt, like certified. And you come and, chastise me about something. That's going to be a hard pill to swallow. And it's going to be very hard for me to accept that. But let's say that respect is there, the love is there, and I see it. All right, thank you. I love that. You said it how it is. That happened, and I didn't see what you were seeing. Thanks. Let's move on.
Which is a healthy relationship. That would be a healthy relationship.
Definitely.
Even if it was, I mean, I'm not your superior, but if it was, even if
Absolutely not. Let's make that perfectly clear. Could you just repeat that one more time?
We have discussed about, what if you were a monk? What would
guys,
happen?
listen, guys, I was discerning the monastery. Okay, I wanted to be a monk. Okay.
Until you realize who the abbot is.
I went to Father Abbot Ankido, and I told him, I said, so I would have the same rules as a novice, He said, yeah. Actually, the guys in final vows would be technically, ahead of you. I said, I think it's not for me. Are you going to tell me to go to sleep at 10? I'll pack my bags and leave the same day. I'm just not called to it,
Yeah, there you go.
That's great.
But there's something healthy about also being under authority,
Yeah.
There's something really
structure.
Spiritually, there's something healthy about
structure.
That. Even when it's like Padre Pio was under authority and it was used against him unjustly. Even that can be, even though it shouldn't happen that way or whatever. But being under somebody else's authority is nice because, you're obedient to this figure, or you're obedient to this office or whatever it is, and you know that you're obedient to God. And sometimes you get chastised.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've been chastised plenty of times in my priesthood. Most of the time, it's legit. Most of the time, it's very legit. Like I deserved
like you
it.
got me, bro.
It was good. Yeah, it was fine.
Wave the white flag.
I'm not always happy about it. It's a lack of humility. But I realized later on, it was like I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
And it's in the letter.
You take the L.
Yeah, you have to take the L.
Yeah.
I in the letter to the Hebrews, it says that God chastises his sons out of love.
Yeah.
Which is, so sometimes, you just kind of take it like that, and you realize God is waking you up to something, and it's okay. Don't be so easily offended by it. Don't be very sensitive,
Yeah.
That's kind of a healthy thing too.
You also can't be too mellow as an authority figure. It goes back to the having weight. You gotta show what the office is worth.
Yes. So that's a hard thing to do, huh? Like you have to be charitable, meaning that you have everything that you do needs to be out of love for God and love for the other. And at once you have to have that weight that you're talking about. Yuqra.
Yeah, and that goes, this is going to sound bad when it comes out, but I'll explain what I mean. You can't make it seem as if you're the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I think someone
egalitarianism is not.
I think someone like Pope Leo is doing a great job at that.
Mm-hmm.
He's showing how, in his pontificate, you could be humble, but you're also the Pope. And you have an office that is huge.
Yeah. And I think, as far as Pope Leo goes, I think it's clear from what I've seen, and obviously we see very little of this stuff, but it seems very clear that it's not personal for him.
Yeah.
Like, it's really not. That he is serving. And not everybody agrees with what he's doing or whatever. No one's going to agree with everybody. It's fine. But he's a pious guy. He's very spiritual. He obviously loves God very much, and the church.
And baseball.
Yeah. That was a great troll, by the way, that Father Simon showed me. Amazing.
He goes.
Yep. They lost. Yep. That's pretty good. Lost. That's the Pope, man. That's amazing.
That's what you get when you have an American Pope, man. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. But is it rigged, though? Are they doing that for the Pope?
This has to come back out. Guys, what's up with rigged games?
Yeah. Terrible.
You lose trust, man.
Yeah. Well, what does the law say about this stuff? Well, I know very, very, very little about canon law. Okay, just stuff mostly about monastic life. But I hear a lot of the laws protecting against abuse of authority.
You know how? With every mention of what a certain figure of authority, whether it's a pastor, a patriarch, a cardinal, whatever, with every law that explains what they can't do, there's usually a sanction that is connected to that. Where if you do this, there's a sanction here. You don't see that much throughout the code. They mention licety, they mention invalidity, stuff like that. If you do this, do that, whatever. But when it comes to authority, there's always a sanction attached to it, which shows how serious the church takes abuse of authority.
Define sanction.
Sanction is a penalty towards someone, and it has to do with the gravity of the sin they committed. There's, beauty to that. There's also, and I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of this, but there's not a lot. There could be holes in there that need to get patched locally, because you also have laws governing certain abuses that happen locally through the Conference of Bishops, for example, where you see the weight kind of shifted not evenly with, episcopal power and presbyteral power. I'm not gonna say anything else.
Okay, very good.
I'm just not going to.
Live. Okay.
I am. Ewan. Thanksgiving is coming up. Christmas, your favorite time of the year.
Christmas is my favorite time of the year.
Okay. When should you start listening to Christmas music? Is it December 1st, the beginning of Advent, or Thanksgiving time?
Oh.
No. Don't say Thanksgiving.
November 1st, bro. All Saints Day. I start. Oh, yeah.
How could you?
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, that's what I do before Thanksgiving.
No, you don't.
It's just not long enough. How is the best season
that's what keeps it beautiful. Because you're anticipating that. You get the taste of it, and then you move on.
Once the temp starts going down, the weather,
it's 80 degrees.
So that in San Diego, 70 degrees feels like Christmas. Okay,
you're not wrong. Yeah.
Okay. Once the temp starts going down, and the
Christmas music starts going up,
and the time changes. By the way, I love the time change.
I do too, actually.
Okay, yeah, thank God.
I love it.
Okay, because the people that voted against that and all, anyway.
Oh yeah, that was on the ballot.
It was on the ballot.
Yeah.
Once the time changes, the temp starts going down. You start feeling a little chilly.
No way.
Then I'm like, yeah, it's Christmas. I don't care what month it is or whatever.
That's so. It's cold somewhere.
It's cold somewhere. That's it. So I start listening.
You will die on this hill.
Oh yeah. Decorations. I know that's a little more touchy, that one.
Yeah.
I definitely start before Thanksgiving. Sorry, we do.
It's still Chodesh Eta.
It's right before Christmas. It's right before Advent.
I want to know what they think, honestly.
Yeah,
because there's no one here to validate what I'm saying.
There are some diehards about this.
Yeah, for a reason.
There are a lot of people that won't even decorate until
Advent.
Until Christmas, actually. They won't decorate for Advent.
No, that's too much. That's too much. Do you guys get fake trees or real trees?
No, we get real trees.
By the way, those are extremely flammable. You got to be careful. We've seen those videos.
I've seen those really terrifying videos that keep me up at nighttime and 2 months out of the year. Yeah.
One time, Father Simon had a genius idea to get a real tree for the seminary. Wait, you were still there?
That was probably not a good idea that Father Simon would do that.
It was so bad because I watched those videos and the same thing would happen. I would go to sleep and I'm like, dude, we're about to be cooked right now. Yeah. And I would get up randomly, check on it, we're good, go back. And I think he failed to realize that those trees go bad if you don't take care of them, like the smell, and the leaves start falling.
They start drying, yeah. And I mean, you water them and stuff if you do it right.
Yeah, no one watered anything. Mm-hmm. Nothing was being watered. And it stunk up the whole house. But
they smell great in the house.
If you take care of them.
Yeah, if you take care of them. They smell great in the house. For outdoors, we have fig trees. And
one on each corner of the property.
And they keep getting stolen. Yeah.
Oh, you sent us
someone stole our Christmas tree from in front of the church.
Yeah. That was crazy, by the way, because he just picked it up and
he hopped the thing, picked it up, hopped it right back, and I was like happy, man. I was like, okay,
right,
maybe they couldn't afford a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Like let the man have a Christmas tree.
That'd be so funny if you just put it in his house.
Wait, I mean, what do you sell it? You know?
Could you sell them? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Was he in a car or on a bike?
The camera didn't reach that far.
At St. Peter's it would have.
Well, at St. Peter's, nobody would have stolen the Christmas tree, huh? Good.
Yeah.
Are you still going to watch the NBA?
No, I stopped watching after Kobe died. Alam Hassan. Yeah, after Kobe died, the NBA was never the same. I don't want to get into that. But listen, even if I was, I would definitely stop after this.
Yeah.
One of them, wait 1 second. We can't talk about this without this. One of them is an active coach for an NBA team currently.
So what is he doing? He's like messing up his players intentionally?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And making certain calls that would, rig the game.
He's like flagging his own scoring.
Yeah. Imagine your coach, your active coach, just got indicted and arrested.
Wow, that's a big betrayal for the players, man.
Yeah.
Dang. Like he's their coach is trying to get them to lose. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Talk about
you trusted this guy, exactly.
Yeah.
And you trusted this guy.
Wow. And you're like learning from him how to lose.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
And if you look back at the certain NBA seasons, like last season, you'd see some calls and be like, it's kind of weird. It's kind of strange. You saw those videos. Oh, what's he doing? That was supposed to be a clear pass.
You mean like when he passes it to the guy on the other team?
Like, oh man, that's supposed to go to him. Or the clear 3-pointer. No one's in your face and just airball.
Yeah.
And you're a good player.
Like even the other team is cheating. They want you to score. They're leaving you alone.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's cheating.
Yeah. Okay.
This was nice. Thank you.
God bless you, man.
Thank you. Do you have a neck brace or no?
God bless you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Bro. Thank you so much.